Pranam Sangji, my question is,
Namaste.
I have heard that when you think he is this, he becomes that. I have felt this is also a quality of a master. Is one of the roles of a master is also to create chaos and confusion around seekers to test them. Can we also completely change his personality and play a game or leela around them so as to raise consciousness around seekers? So can you please tell something about this? Thank you.
Very philosophical question. Please sit down. Yes, this is true about the inner experiences that what you think you become. Outside world also this applies the law of attraction. Whatever we keep on thinking repeatedly, it goes in our subconscious mind, and then things start happening according to it. It may or may not happen in outside world, but it happens 100% in inside world. Particularly when you go deep in meditation, you enter into the state of samadhi, and there you experience the vast sky-like consciousness, echoing with divine sound and filled with divine light. In the beginning, it seems that I am experiencing something as an object. I am the subject, the knower, and I am knowing these divine qualities. But at that time, the master says to the disciple, feel, this is what I am. The observer and observed are not two entities. What you are knowing at this moment in deep samadhi, you are that, you become that. So there are two parts of the spiritual journey. The first part is getting detachment from what we have become attached to in the outside world. For example, the physical body, the shape, the color, the nation, the language, the philosophy, the ideology, and so many other things, the profession and the knowledge we have gained. All that is our identification with the ego. So first part of spiritual journey is getting disidentified from this outer identification. I am not this, I am not that, I am not that, I am not that. Keep on renouncing whatever you used to think you are. And finally, you reach in deep meditation. Now you cannot drop this consciousness, the witnessing nature of the consciousness. You cannot drop the sound which you are listening at the peak of consciousness. You cannot drop the light which you are seeing within yourself. Now the second part of the spiritual journey starts, being getting identified with this. What you are feeling within is not separate from you. It is your own authentic reality. But we have been identified with the outer world so much that we forgot about our inner reality. So when we face the inner reality for the first time, it seems that I'm just a watcher and I'm watching something else, somebody else. This is a false creation of distance between the observer and observed, because we have become habitual of this in the outer world. Whatever we were knowing through our sense organs, we were different from it. I was watching a tree, definitely I'm different from the tree. I met a person, definitely that person is someone else, I'm someone else. So because of this habit, when we reach inside where only I exist, nobody else, still I imagine that whatever I'm experiencing is someone else, and I'm the knower, not the known. So there the spiritual journey takes a turn. Now don't be a witness, don't be an observer from a distance. What you are feeling, what you are experiencing, this is you. This is your reality. This is your authentic self. So get identified with it. So the Upanishadic Rishi says, now feel Aham Brahmasmi. When you have experienced Brahma, then the master says, you are this, thou art that. Tattvamasi. Be identified with this. So it's a very good question, but it has two parts. The first part is getting disidentification, and second part is getting identified. This is what I am. And then you become that. The Rishi in the Upanishad says that whatever you experience, you become that. When this Upanishad was translated in English, and for the first time the Western people came to know about this, they laughed at it, that this is nonsense. How can this be? If you experience something, how can you become that? By experiencing. This is not about the outside worldly objects. This is about the experience in deep meditation, in samadhi. Whatever you experience there, you become that. By realizing the godliness, you become God. This statement of Rishi of Upanishad seems strange, but it is not strange, because inside whatever you are knowing, it is really you. It is no one else. Even the godly qualities you are experiencing, those are your qualities. There is no person like God you will meet. But the godly qualities, which are your own qualities, they are part and dimensions of your own consciousness. So there, this thing applies. What you feel, what you know, you become that. I think it's clear. Let us talk about the next question, please.
So we have Zumar. She's a therapist, and she has a couple of questions. I'll let her go through one, first questions.
Namaste.
Namaste.
My questions is also about the consciousness, and I have three questions, and I don't know, do I need to read all three of them or just?
I can't hear you clearly. Can you come closer to the?
Yeah.
Okay, I have also questions about the consciousness, and I have three questions. And do you want me to read all three of them or one by one?
No, one by one.
So I would like you to tell me a little bit about explain the nature of the high consciousness. I know about the ego consciousness, but I would like to see the other levels of the consciousness and then and its nature and the ways of attaining it.
The nature of consciousness, the ability of consciousness is to know. That is the only nature of consciousness. It has the capacity to know, to experience. So when this consciousness functions through our sense organs, we know the outside world. Through our eyes we see, through our ears we hear, and so many different sense organs. We experience, we know the outer world. Then we have a mental world inside. The thoughts are going on, the memories, the imaginations, and so many other things in the mind. The consciousness knows those things also. Then at the dimension of the heart, we have feelings and emotions. The consciousness knows all those emotions and feelings. Finally, we come to a point where the consciousness knows consciousness itself, as if the mirror is being mirrored. Up to now, there were impressions and reflections and shadows of other things on the mirror. In the outside world, then in the physical body, then in the mind, and then in the heart. All these things were getting reflected in the mirror of consciousness. When we become empty of all these, still the consciousness has the capacity to know what it will know. Now there is no object. The mind is calm and quiet. Nothing is happening. No feelings, no emotions in the heart. Just pure silence. Then what the consciousness will know? It has the capacity to know. It will know itself, and that is what we call meditation, when the observer is observing oneself. There is nothing else to know. So the nature of consciousness can be shared in very short, that it is the capacity to know. Okay, next question, please.
Yeah. If the ego consciousness keeps us in the future or in the past, how to lessen the impact of it?
I understood that you are asking that the consciousness keeps us either in future or in past. Is that the question? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the ego consciousness keeps us
Yeah.
in.
It is not the consciousness which takes us in future or past, but this is the mind which is moving in past and future. Mind exists in time. The consciousness exists in timelessness. It is beyond time. But when the consciousness functions through the mind, of course, this instrument of the mind will do its own job. Let us take an example of electricity. When the electricity works through the heater, it produces heat. When it works through the electrical bulb, it produces light. When it works in the microphone system, as we are talking with each other now, it's turning into sound. It's the same electricity, but this microphone is turning it into sound. Again, the electricity reaches to your speaker system. There it turns into sound again. So the sound is producing electricity, electricity is producing sound through this instrument. If we remove this instrument, then electricity cannot function in that way. So electricity is needed whether we are producing heat or light or sound or anything else. Anything else. It can be used in so many different ways. In the refrigerator, it produces coolness. In geyser, it produces heat. Electricity is neither cold nor hot. Electricity is neither light nor sound. It all depends on through which instrument it passes. Similarly, the mind has the capacity to move in future or in the past. It accumulates memory. Our brain has memory system, the temporary memory, and then there is permanent memory. The human brain has particularly the capacity to imagine. No other animals can do that. We have got this prefrontal lobe, which is specific to human beings, and this has the capacity to imagine about the future. We can plan for the future. We can visualize things, what may be happening in near future. We can imagine that. No other animals, insects can do that. They don't have that part of the brain. We have capacity to store and accumulate past memories. Very huge amount of memories can be accumulated. This is the function of the brain, the mind, not the consciousness, but the consciousness is needed for the brain to function. This microphone will function only when the electricity is available, otherwise it will not function at all. When a person dies, his brain is not working anymore. The consciousness has moved away. The eyes are still there. Just a moment before the man was alive and now he is dead. The ears are still the same, but now he cannot hear because the one who was hearing is no more there. The ear cannot hear and the eye cannot see. Similarly, the mind has the capacity to keep memories, to imagine, about the future, plan for the future, but consciousness is needed for a brain to function. Similarly, our physical body has so many functions, but the consciousness is needed. If the consciousness is gone, then the body is just a corpse. It cannot do anything. Whatever activity the body is doing, those are not qualities of consciousness. The consciousness is like a catalytic agent. In the presence of consciousness, the body functions. In the presence of consciousness, the mind functions. Without consciousness, they will not work. Without electricity, all the instruments, equipments will be useless. But this does not mean that the electricity has those qualities. Electricity is neutral. It is neither hot nor cold. Neutral. But it can produce heat through a particular equipment. It can produce coolness through another equipment. Similarly, consciousness is neutral. It is indifferent. Its presence is needed for the body, for the mind, for the heart to function. So imagination and memory, these are the functions of the mind, not of the consciousness. Okay, now the third question.
Well, I want to ask you about the current times. I know we are in the Kali Yuga time, and how do and it's a time where again the consciousness of the human is such a low state where they don't know, where the humans don't know their godly nature or how they connected to God. But I'm curious, how do we know, or what are the signs that things are actually getting better? I'm not seeing many signs of things getting better. I'm seeing signs of things getting worse and worse. And I think that we're supposed to be at the end of it. How do we know that there's a dawn coming? Or is there a dawn actually? So
Well, as far as I have understood Osho, he does not agree with this idea of Satyug and Dwapar and Treta and Kalyug, etc. At this moment, we are on the peak of development, which has been going on since millions of years. We are more conscious, more alert, more sensitive than our ancestors. You can see in small children, the new generation, and you can compare with the older generation. They are more sensitive, more aware, more alert, more responsive. Their consciousness has grown up. With each generation, it is growing up. And this is a very optimistic attitude. The idea of Kali Yuga is very pessimistic. It says we are deteriorating, going down and down, further down, and finally everything will be demolished. I don't agree with that. If the theory of evolution is true, which is scientifically true, so not only the body is growing, developing, evolving, our consciousness is always evolving. We have become more conscious than the previous generations, and in future it will be even better and better and better. So I have every hope. I'm very positive about this. I don't think this is Kali Yuga. No, not at all. This is the best time we are living in, and even better than this is bound to come later on. Please be optimistic, be full of hopes, enthusiasm. Otherwise, how can we are going to live? This pessimistic idea about Kali Yuga is really not true. Not true at all. We are evolving. Of course, with evolution, we have got freedom. Please understand this. With growing consciousness, being more aware, now we are free. Much more free than the older generations, which existed centuries ago. We are more free, and that creates a dilemma. With freedom, with more power, with more awareness, we can be either good or bad. We can move in any direction. We can become very godly or we can become very evil. We can create the third world war or we can create a paradise on this earth. Both possibilities exist, and they exist only with the growth. We have the power, we have the capacity, we can do both things. And the dilemma is what to choose. Of course, if we choose the third world war and violence, it is going to be the end of the world, at least on this planet. But this is because of evolution. Please understand this. Due to evolution of consciousness, we have come to a point where we are free to choose. And when we are free, I'm 100% sure we are not going to choose the calamity. We are not going to choose the mass destruction of the life on this planet. Yes, there is danger, but only in those times of danger we evolve further. What I hope, there will be a quantum leap. We are already in Satyug and we will grow into a super Satyug. That's what I hope, and I request you to please change your idea. Be full of hopes, more liveliness, and let us contribute in this life whatever we can do to make it more better, more beautiful, more harmonious, more loving, and we can do it. Nobody else could do it before. They didn't have the techniques, the technology, the scientific ways. Now we have the scientific days. We can be super rich. There is no need for anybody to be hungry at all. There is no need for anybody to be sick. We can live a very healthy life, very rich life, full of luxuries, and not only outside luxuries, but inside as well. We have more possibility of becoming a Buddha, a Mahavira. Yes, we have more possibility because the richness in which Buddha and Mahavira were living in those times, 2500 centuries ago, it was only available to few people, the kings and the princes, and very few people. Now we are living in a much better state than Buddha and Mahavira. I just reminded of an event. I went to Jabalpur for the first time when I was a student, and there I visited a palace. It is called the Palace of Maharani Durgavati. She was there about 125 years ago during the British Raj in India, and she fought against the British Raj. So that was the palace in the hills. So I went up there and I was surprised to see just a century ago what kind of palace existed. Now even a beggar will not be ready to live in that palace. And it was open. There was no security, no fence, nothing. Still nobody came to live there. So 125 years ago or 150 years ago, the Queen Durgavati used to live there. The royal family used to live there. and now it is just left open, and not even a beggar comes to live there. We are living in much more luxury than any king ever lived. And the things will be better and better and better. We don't have to do so much physical work now as we used to do just 5 decades ago. And soon there will be no work left for the mind. In 10 or 20 years, the education system will be just closed. There will be no schools and no colleges and no university. It's not needed to teach anything to anybody. No burden on the mind. The children can just live, enjoy their life, do whatever they want to enjoy their life, be creative, be meditative, be more loving. There is no need to study. Everything will be taken over by the robots, by the machines, by the artificial intelligence. So for the first time, we will have enough time to live. Just imagine you don't have to go to university again. No schooling is needed. Everything is taken care by the artificial intelligence. There will be no need to work. Gradually, robots will replace everybody. No job. Human beings will be just relaxing, enjoying, being creative, being loving, singing and dancing and celebrating, meditating. A super Satyug is waiting ahead. This is not Kali Yuga. Be very hopeful. I am full of enthusiasm. And I see things are moving in proper direction, improving every day. Human intelligence is improving. And when this burden of memory, which is loaded by the education system, when we will be free from this, our intelligence will be just superb. No burden of memories. We don't have to do any mechanical work. The machines will take care. The memory was a mechanical thing, remember. It was a mechanical thing. Now it will be not needed at all. And we will be able to live in the present moment. Up to now, it was very difficult to live in the present moment. Because all that education and knowledge and memory, we have to keep it safe. Otherwise, how we are going to survive? How we are going to earn money? We have to use all those memories. In future, it will not be needed anymore. And we don't have to teach anybody then, get rid of the past. Don't worry about the future. The time is coming very soon, maybe in 10 or 20 years. Everybody will be living and enjoying the present moment. So I am very, very hopeful, and I convey the same message to you. Please be hopeful and visualize a positive future and start working for it. It is going to happen. The more we get attuned, the more we start working for it and not creating obstructions for it, but helping, giving support to it, it will come sooner. I think your questions are over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.